Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs of society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers out there. You're always welcome here at the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me today as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada. That's my very dear friend, Sharron Angle. Sharron, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Thank you, Rick. It's always great to be back. And of course, these are the days of the Democrat debates. We have been waiting here at Conservative Commandos to see if they really will have the circular firing squad, or if they're going to play nice, or all of those things. 2 days of this. 2 days we get to do it. The interesting thing that I thought was that nobody's going to watch. It's like, who cares? They did a poll and asked who was really going to watch. And 28% of the voters say they're not motivated at all to watch the Democrat presidential debates. 28% say they are somewhat motivated to watch. 21% said they were very motivated, and 18% say they're not very motivated. 5% were undecided. So, of the ones that are going to watch, there might be, what is that? 39% of the voters might watch. The rest of them are saying, we don't care. And I wonder, how that will play out. We've got 2 days to get all the numbers in and see just who cares. But it will be very interesting to see who comes out on top of all of this pile, if there will be a top person, or if our prognosticator, Dr. Gerard Lamero, will be correct that they'll shoot each other in these 2 rounds, and at the end of the day, a new candidate will arise like a phoenix out of Chicago, Michelle Obama.
Like a Michelle? Well, Sharron, a couple things. Will anybody watch? We're a year and a half away from the election. I think people are burnt out with politics for many reasons. We've been so much through the past 8 years of Obama and the past 2.5 years with Donald Trump, and people, the continuous bashing, the continuous investigation, the continuous calls for impeachment. I just wonder how people are tuned in at this point to find out. Oh, what do they got? They got 25 candidates that are running for the Democrat nomination. It's like the start of the baseball season. Well, wake me up when we get to the World Series, okay? That and
at least the playoffs, right?
At least the playoffs. And Sharron, you talk about, will they play nice or will they go after each other? Well, they're all trying to get to the left of each other. That's number one. Number two, they're going to have to do something to set themselves apart from the other 24. And so I think there's got to be some sort of brush-ups there. Got to be some sort of brush-ups. And like I said, one of those candidates are going to have to make them look different from the other. They all want the same thing. They all want the Medicare for all. They all want the free college. They all want the new Green Deal. They all want to impeach Donald Trump. They all want the same thing. So how are they going to separate themselves from the next guy?
I don't know. I don't see how they do, but it's interesting.
Nice thing about it, it's not really our problem.
Not our problem. No, our guy is distinguished from the rest of the pack, and that's really the big overarching issue, is that he's done great things for our economy. He's done great things for trade. He's negotiating well with our fellow world global folks that can't seem to play nice in the sandbox, like Iran and Korea and China.
Speaking of Korea,
and Mexico.
Did you hear there might be a third summit with Kim Jong-un in the works? That's coming out of South Korea. That word coming out of South Korea. So here, we are talking to the guy. All right. And Jay, as long as you're talking with someone, that's a good sign.
I mean,
is
so.
that what they had the United Nations? Wasn't that what the United Nations was at least created to be? A forum, a place where countries could get together and settle their differences. While Donald Trump talked with Kim Jong-un twice, a third one's in the works. No one ever thought that would happen either. No one ever thought that would happen either.
Right. So he's moving ahead no matter what these guys on the loony left are doing. And speaking of dust-ups, I guess that Nancy Pelosi is getting some dust up there in Congress over the humanitarian way that they're treating the border. Now, I heard a congressman say, we can't have these children living like this. They just should be moved on to HSH, Health and Human Services, HHS, and allowed to move out of that pretty crowded and not great
where would
condition.
They go?
Well,
where would they go? And if the conditions that they left in Mexico,
so bad,
Central
right?
and South America are so bad, anything here in the United States, I don't care if it is in a cage or not. I don't care if it is in a dog kennel or not. It's far better here. They're going to get far better treatment here, far better medical care, far better food than what they would have where they came from.
Well,
and if the conditions are so bad, let them go home.
And
let them go home.
That's right. And part of the money that Trump is asking for the wall, which is what's stuck in the Democrats' craw, is for this humanitarian effort for these children. And the Republicans are saying, where's your humanity? You want us to be kind to the children. You're always saying be kind to the children, but you won't vote enough money to be kind. So he does have Nancy in a kind of a rough spot right now. So it's going to be fun to watch that one. And then the final dust up that I've been watching is Project Veritas. Of course, James O'Keefe, he's one of my favorites. He gets out there and he gets people to say the most outrageous things. And what he's done is he went to a Google person and got her to admit that Google's on the Democrat side, that they have been doing some, what would you say, censoring on behalf of YouTube and some of the other forums that they have in order to keep Donald Trump from winning. That's their main goal, is don't let Donald Trump get a second term. And he caught her on tape saying, absolutely, that is our agenda. Well, so he put it up on YouTube. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? And guess what? They took it off. Google
surprise,
took
surprise.
The video. It had, so before all of this, nobody was even paying attention. The video had gone mostly unnoticed. But once they took it off, there was this hue and cry of, there you go. There's the censorship right there. And of course, I thought it was interesting that the reason they did it, she says, I was just having a casual chat with someone at a restaurant and used some imprecise language. I thought that was pretty interesting. We should use that the next time. Yeah, the next time Facebook gets on our case, we should say, well, yes, we use some imprecise language. Project Veritas got me. Well done,
Which
she
we never
said.
did.
Yeah. She said she has received an enormous collection of threatening calls, voicemails, text messages, and emails from people I've never met. Well, join the club, lady. You know, I've had those same emails, phone calls, and threatening things happen to me. And what was done? Who cared? Our good friend J.D. Gordon, who cared that he practically had to go into a secret witness program in order to escape? Who cared about Sarah Saunders being accosted in restaurants? I mean, join the club, lady. This is the culture that you have created on the left.
Yes, they have.
They are volatile over there, and that's what I'm seeing, is that Project Veritas just poked the bear is what happened. And this bear is not necessarily conservatives. It's the guys that use YouTube. And they said, wait a sec, if you could just indiscriminately take things off. This is what's getting them. It's a censorship. It isn't Trump. It's that Google had the audacity to remove something without really any real just cause. Kind of like we went on the Facebook bad list there for a while without really just cause.
Well, Sharron, I've said for some time there should be antitrust hearings in Congress involving Facebook, Google, YouTube, Instagram, all these media giants who are controlled by liberals. Hey, Sharron, we do need to take a break, and then we can tell our audience about our great guest that we're going to have once again here on Conservative Commandos. Hey, Sharron, just wanted to say to everyone, you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. Two things. Number one, today's show is brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. And I'll tell you, there's something we all can do about this illegal immigration. Be a patriot. Report illegals to ICE. Be a patriot. Report illegals to ICE. Be a hero. Protect our country. Sharron and I will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours, free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back to the Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. Want to give a shout out to those who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, and now in Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. We're also seen on the AUN television network, places like Sacramento, San Jose, San Francisco, Marine Country, Wine Country in Northern California. And if you have a radio station in your area, maybe you're watching us or listening to us on the internet, but if you have a radio station in your area, you'd like to have the Conservative Commandos on, contact them. Let them know about the Conservative Commandos radio show. Sharron, once again, three great guests joining us today.
We certainly do. Our first guest is Michael Busler, who is a public policy analyst and professor of finance at Stockton University, where he teaches undergraduate and graduate courses in finance and economics. He has written op-ed columns in major newspapers for more than 35 years, and we've asked him to come on and discuss an article he didn't write, Sanders Liberals Out with Bill to Cancel Student Debt. This was written by Lori Kelman and Elena Shore, but we've asked Michael to come on and explain to us why those who have paid off their college debt should be in favor of a blanket amnesty, if you will, for those who still have college debt. And so we're interested in this subject as always.
Not only that, Michael is, as you mentioned, a college professor. He's an economic college professor. So I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say on this subject.
I'm sure he does. Our second guest is Chris Chmeilenski, who serves as the Deputy Director of Numbers USA, the nation's largest grassroots immigration reduction organization, with more than 8 million participants in all 435 congressional districts. Numbers USA provides a civil forum for Americans of all political and ethnic backgrounds to focus on a single issue, the numerical level of U.S. immigration. Chris joined Numbers USA in October of 2008 and now serves as their Deputy Director. He previously worked as an educator and journalist and has a bachelor's degree in political science and broadcast journalism from Syracuse University. Of course, we've asked Chris to come on and talk about the critical issue, the emergency supplemental appropriations for humanitarian assistance security at the Southern Border Act. So here we go. Here's the one that the Democrats are not sure they want to vote for, and we'll get Chris's take on that. Finally,
I also want to talk to Chris about another issue involving illegal immigration. Sharron, barely a day goes by or a week goes by that we don't hear of some horrific crime being committed by illegal aliens. Just last week, an illegal alien drove a truck and trailer through a line of motorcyclists, killing 7 or 8 people. The week before that, it was a 14-year-old girl who was raped and murdered by a couple of illegals down in Maryland. And also, I found another story today. An 81-year-old woman was killed by an illegal alien who's also charged in 11 other murders of elderly people. This has got to stop, Sharron. It's got to stop.
Well, here's another one. ISIS. They had a few of their guys nabbed in Central America, trying to join the caravans that are coming across our border. So, this is getting, well, it's interesting when the Democrats say this is not a crisis. I would say this is a homeland security crisis, if we ever saw one coming. Our last guest is Matt Philbin, who is the managing editor of MRC culture. And we've asked Matt to come on and talk about Celebs Cry Impeach while reading Nothing Burger Mueller Report. So this is not an article that Matt Philbin wrote. Actually, George Plaza wrote this article, but Matt will be filling us in. Once more, the Mueller Report is in the news, and it's being called the Nothing Burger. I think that's exactly right, the Nothing Burger.
But they keep trying to make it a steak. They keep trying to make it a filet mignon. Also want to talk with Matt about a press release that was put out by his boss, Brent Bozell, who at the Media Research Center, that to Facebook following release of a civil rights audit that Facebook is conducting with not conservatives, but with liberal groups about more censorship, how these liberal groups want Facebook to conduct even more censorship. And it's not going to be on their side. They're going to want to censor conservatives. Yeah. So indeed, we do have three great guests joining us here today on Conservative Commandos.
Well, as I was reading in this one article, someone said that the way that Google has been behaving would make Goebbels proud. And of course, Goebbels is the SS officer. I think he was the SS officer in World War II that was a Nazi enforcer of censorship there. So, it really does smack of things that we have always said and that America does not stand for. And yet, here we go.
Well, as how many times can I say this? We need Congress to step in. Well, we have Congress. All right. And I said, well, we have half of Congress. Well, we have a president. We have a Supreme Court. There's got to be investigations into these social media giants for antitrust. They just as conservatives have talk radio. All right. The left, and you got to give it to them, they have social media. And the problem with them having social media is the people who are targeted by social media is the young and illiterate. And when I say illiterate, I mean they might have gone to college, they might have gone to high school. I don't know, but as far as the workings of government, the workings of politics, the workings of life, how to get on life, they are socially illiterate.
Well, perfect example, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's got this degree from Boston College in economics. And, the poor thing, every time she opens her mouth, it's something ignorant that comes out. And, we didn't even ask the question and we get these silly answers. So there you go. She is a perfect example of what you're talking about, Rick.
Yeah, there you go. She's got an economics degree. I want to talk with Michael Busler about her. What would she have learned in Michael's classes at Stockton University? She certainly didn't get up at Boston, but I bet she can make a mean martini. All right, that's your trade. That's her stock and trade. Waitress, bartender, whatever.
I'm not so sure about that either. We had a president that was a community organizer, and I'm not sure that he did that very well. He was certainly good at organizing social media. We do know that. But as far as what he was actually doing,
we don't even know. We don't know that. He is a product of the Chicago Democrat political machine.
That's true.
All right. They seen, and I'm going to use Joe Biden's words, a clean, articulate black man, good looking, and they saw him as their great chance, their great shot. So they pushed him into the Illinois state legislature. Then they pushed him into the U.S. Senate, and then they pushed him into the presidency. And nowhere in that line in the Illinois State Legislature, in the U.S. Senate. In my opinion, did he distinguish himself other than what Joe Biden said? Not my words. He's a clean, articulate, people like the way he speaks, has a nice smile. Wow, they're qualifications for being president, aren't they?
Well, I think
I guess
that we could
making
say
Martini's qualifications for being in the U.S. House of Representatives.
yeah, we could say that about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's pretty good looking too, but
She's not bad. I mean, she's not a bad looking girl.
no, but what's happening? You know, the lights are on, but nobody's home. That's the way it looks
Definitely.
to me.
Hey, Sharon, we went a little long on this subject, and we got to take a break. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rec Trader. And on the other side, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Michael Busler. He's an economics professor at Stockton University, and we're going to be talking about Sanders, liberals out with the bill to cancel student debt. Don't go away. We'll be back and tell you how much this is going to cost you, the taxpayer, who pays all their debts. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharon Angle. Yes, that's Sharon Angle. And for rebroadcasts of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show there, a lot of terrific articles and great information. Sharon, our first guest, is with us. He's getting to be a longtime friend of the show. As usual, please make him feel welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor also to introduce Michael Busler, who is the public policy analyst and a professor of finance at Stockton University, where he teaches undergraduate and graduate courses in finance and economics. He has written op-ed columns in major newspapers for more than 35 years. Michael, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hi, Rick and Sharon. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always fun to talk about some of these things, especially when they kind of spring up overnight on us. The Democrats are debating now, and they are going to be talking about free college tuition and canceling all the student loan debts. How does that strike you? I mean, you have two dogs in this fight. You being a college professor, that's your livelihood right there. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe not. But the other thing is, as an economist, this must strike you as well. So talk to us a little bit about should we be more open to this idea?
No. I think
in a word.
End of interview.
I think this is a terrible idea. You're talking, depending on, Elizabeth Warren wants to pay off about 95% of the debt. Bernie Sanders is talking about a whole 100% of it, roughly $2 trillion that will cost. So the question is, where's that money going to come from? Well, they're going to tax people. They say they're only going to tax the wealthy. That won't be enough. But even if you just tax the wealthy, that's going to harm the economy. Now, why is that? Because when you tax the wealthy $2 trillion, you're removing funds that they would use for investment purposes, for creating capital for expansion. We have a capital-intensive economy. That means we need capital to grow the economy. Manufacturing jobs that are coming back are all setting up manufacturing facilities with robots and artificial intelligence, and that's the only way we can compete with the lower labor costs in Asia. Well, in order to be able to expand the economy, we need capital. Even the service sector, everybody has capital equipment to work with. If you reduce the amount of capital being created, you're going to slow down economic growth, and that's harmful to everyone. Also, look, these students had a choice whether to go to college or not. College is not right for everybody. It is right for a large number of people. And you're an adult when you go to college. That's what happens during college. You go from being a child to being an adult. Well, part of the becoming an adult is to take on individual responsibility. So if you take on responsibility for a debt, you want to go to college, you should pay that debt back. Asking taxpayers, who many of them have paid back their debts, many of them never went to college, and you're asking them to pay the debt back. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for the student. And I tell my students, this will be the most expensive free thing you'll ever get. And why is that? Because you're right. It'll be free for 4 years while you're going into college, because taxpayers will cover the expense. But after you graduate and work, you become a taxpayer. So for the next 45 or 50 years, you'll be paying higher taxes so that other people can go to college. It's a bad deal for you. It's a bad deal for the country. We shouldn't do it.
Well, and as we know, taxes are never repealed. They just add up. They just add another one on. So once we get that tax, it will never really go away. I was interested in hearing what Bernie Sanders had to say about his bill. This is his bill, I guess. And the people that stood up with him are interesting as well. Ilhan Omar, Pamela Jayapal, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers. They all stood up and said, "This is a great idea, Bernie." I wonder, how do you feel about Ocasio-Cortez, for example? She's got a degree in economics. Why would she stand up for something like this?
She does, and it's from Boston University, which is certainly an excellent school. She must have slept through part of her class there, because she seems not to have full grasp of the principles. Look, if we take a look at the big picture here, what you're doing is all of these programs, free healthcare for everybody, free education for everybody, guaranteed basic income for everybody, all of these things take income away from people that have earned it and give it to people who haven't earned it. That in itself is going to stagnate the economy. People are not going to continue to earn income if you're going to take it away from them. And people that get things for free are not going to earn income because they're getting it for free. So it's a terrible idea. The whole concept here, all these socialistic programs are exactly opposite to what made this country great. You know, if you take a look at the big picture for a minute, the U.S. went from the birth of a nation to the #1 economy in the world, most prosperous economy in the world, in about 150 years. Other countries were hundreds, in some cases thousands of years older. How did we do that? In my view, 4 principles. 1, we emphasized individual freedom. So people were free to do what they wanted to do, and they can pursue what their interests were. Secondly, individual responsibility. People took care of themselves. They didn't expect someone to take care of you. Thirdly, low rates of taxation. So when you earned income, you got to keep most of what you earned. And fourthly, a limited role for government. That took us from the birth of a nation in 150 years to the largest economy in the world. Every one of these socialistic programs is exactly opposite to that. When the government starts paying for something, they're going to control the education, they're going to control the health care, you're going to lose individual freedom. The government's taking care of you, you lose individual responsibility and have social responsibility. Instead of low rates of taxation, in order to pay for all this, they're going to eventually tax everybody. So you're going to have higher rates of taxation. And fourthly, you now have the government involved in everything. Those things are exactly opposite to what made the country great. It will stagnate the economy if they continue to push these socialistic views.
Well, let's change gears just a little, because the universities stand to gain something here. It didn't surprise me too much when I saw the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, involved in this, because once the government starts paying the tab, they can raise tuition, can't they?
Exactly. The university administrations and professors will strongly favor this. This will guarantee to them at a time when, because birth rates are low, there's a declining number of students going to college. In fact, there's a number of colleges that have had to close. Well, college professors say, look, this will enable everybody to go to college, even people that are probably not suited to go to college. Since it's free, they'll say, look, let me go. If it doesn't work out, so what? So it will guarantee greater enrollments for the schools. And you're right, if the government's picking up the tab for tuition will just go up higher and higher. The government is not motivated to do things on an efficient basis. They have different motivations. I'm never quite sure what they were, but they have different motivations, and being efficient is not one of them. So if the cost is going to go up, they'll just be okay with that, and we end up with another entitlement program that's going to cause chaos. If I can just mention one point about that. We all recognize we have a deficit problem with the federal government budget and a huge public debt. Most of the reason for that is annual spending. We can hardly touch most of it. Why is that? The federal government will spend $4.4 trillion this year. Over 60% of it is $2.7 trillion of it. Over 60% is in entitlement programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. So we can't touch those, and we have to get government spending down. Now you want to add another entitlement program or two to this, we'll get stuck in a position that ends up with a stagnant economy, and it could, in the worst case, end up to what you see in countries like Venezuela and Cuba and some of those.
Well, but according to Elizabeth Warren, the rich are going to pay for this.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not enough rich people to go around to pay for this, number one. And again, to my original point, if you keep overtaxing the wealthy, you'll destroy capital formation, and that will stagnate the economy even further. Terrible idea. Let me say one other thing. This student loan debt is not as big a problem as they're making it out to be. It's true, it's $1.5 trillion, that's true, but the average student who has debt has about $30,000 worth of debt. That's a good number, but the government lets you pay it back over 10 years. The monthly payment is about the size of a car payment. I mean, it's a burden, but it's not an undue burden. So before you go and foul up the entire system because you think you want to help somebody that you're not really going to end up helping, let's work on some other things rather than trying to pay off everybody's loan.
Well, and it sounds like they're just going after votes again. It's pretty much a pandering thing. We need to go to a break. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM TV. We are also on TV. We're also on TV with the AUN TV network in Northern California, specifically Nancy Pelosi country, San Francisco and Sacramento. We'll be right back with my co-host, Rick Trader. I'm Sharon Engel, and our guest, Michael Busler, who is a professor of finance at Stockton University.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right it's too brutal.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. And our guest is Dr. Michael Busler. He is a public policy analyst and a professor of finance at Stockton University. Michael, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time. Michael, when you earlier in the interview, you were saying to Sharron how you try to educate your students that this free stuff is actually going to cost them. They're the ones that are going to get stuck paying for this free stuff. That's unless they intend to get that wonderful degree at Stockton University and collect food stamps, welfare, unemployment, or in other words, be a tax sucker instead of a tax contributor. What is the reaction to you, Dr. Michael Busler?
Well, they don't quite see things like that. They just see that there's a big income inequality issue in the U.S. They think the reason for that is the people at the top are just greedy and they want to keep all the money away from everybody else. And they think the way to cure that is to take the income away from those that have earned a lot and give it to those who, for whatever reason, haven't earned it. They believe that's fair. Part of the problem is, I don't know if this is an exact figure, but I would venture to say probably 90% of college university faculty are very liberal. And I know at my school, it's a university, it was started 40-some years ago as a liberal arts college, and they still have a liberal arts slant on things. The faculty only present one side of an argument to the students. And as a result of that, they never really understand what the other side is. I tell the students, you go to college to learn certain specific things, but you're also there to learn critical thinking skills. So that when you run into a situation where you have to make a decision, you know how to make decisions that will probably be best for you. Well, to make a good decision, we know you have to gather information. And if your professors are only giving you one side of an argument, you're not getting complete information to make a decision. I always talk to them about, what do you think about raising the minimum wage? And they all say, oh, it's a great thing, raise it to $15 an hour. Well, then I give them the other side, how, the minimum wage results in unemployment. Look, the unemployment rate today is rock bottom, 3%. For everybody, teenage unemployment is 15%. When entering the workforce for the first time, the unemployment rate is 16%. So people who you're trying to help by giving a wage that, in all due respect, is more than the value of their output ends up hurting everybody. They want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, if somebody gets a raise to $15 an hour without doing anything, they would think, well, I don't really have to do anything. I'll just continue to get high wages. So I give them both sides of the argument, and they scratch their head a little bit and start to think about it. So college professors, I think, are doing a disservice to the students by not presenting both sides of the argument. And you're right. Most of them tend to favor programs like this because their professors tell them it's a good thing.
Well, Michael, there's a little saying that I love, and it was created by Alex de Tocqueville, all right? And it says, the American Republic will endure until the day Congress discovers they can bribe the public with the public's money. And that is what is happening here. And so you've got 25 Democrats running around the country trying to get the party's nomination, each of them trying to run to the left of each other with things like free college for all, a living wage, free health care, the new Green Deal. And I bring this up to you as an economics professor at Stockton University, a little bit of math that was presented to me by Senator Ron Paul the other night at a dinner. He said, well, these kids, they want to tax the rich. Let's hit that top 1%. Let's hit them with a 70% tax. Well, Senator Paul pointed out the flaw in all this. That would only bring in about $800 billion. And yet when you total up The new programs, forget the existing debt, forget the existing government obligation to the military and to education and to all the social programs, taxing the top 1%, 70%, that $800 billion is not a drop in the bucket.
No, it certainly isn't. And so what ends up happening is they'll start taxing the wealthy, realize that there's not enough money there, so they'll start moving down, and they'll keep going down until eventually they're going to have to tax everybody. You're going to have to tax all of the middle class to be able to pay for these programs that they want. High tax rates slow economic growth, and particularly if you I've never favored the progressive tax system, but the way it is now, if you want to raise that top bracket up to 70%, there's no incentive for somebody to do any more. I mean, why should, look, I'm successful, I've done well, somebody might say, I have capital to invest, but I'm taking a risk with it, I could lose it. Even if I'm profitable, the government's going to take 70% of everything I make. It doesn't make sense to me. They're not going to invest, slows economic growth, stagnates the economy. We all end up losing. We're far better off if we go back to the principles of individual freedom, individual responsibility, low rates of taxation, and get the government out of the way. Let the economy and let the American spirit do what it's supposed to do. That's what made us great in the first place. It wasn't until the early 1900s where you started with put an income tax on, I think in 1913, started out at 1%. Now look how high it is. 1935, they started with Social Security. That was only 1%. Now it's 12.4% of your wages. You pay half, your employer pays half. There's a proposal to raise it to 14.8% of your wages.
Well, Dr. Busler, they're just going to find another way to hide this, another mask, and I'll tell you where it's going to come from. A national sales tax.
Which is extremely unfair. Sales taxes, anytime you tax consumption, it's a regressive tax, and it hurts the lower income earners the most, simply because they spend all of their income. So,
well, Doctor, I disagree with you. I would rather see a national sales tax on everything. Eliminate income tax. Let's have a national sales tax on everything. This way, everybody becomes a taxpayer. This way, as Joe Biden would say, everybody now has skin in the game.
That makes a lot of sense. I certainly understand that. The only problem is the lower income earners will be taxed on every dollar they earn because they're going to spend it all. Upper income earners are only taxed on a small portion.
Well, maybe they'll start to hurt. Maybe they'll say, "Whoa, what about all the free stuff? There is no free stuff. I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it twice when I go to store." Doctor, another point I wanted to talk with you about, if you don't mind, is maybe you talk about the student debt, the student loans that are in default. Maybe. And we had a guest here on Conservative Commandos last week talking about this. Maybe colleges and universities should be held responsible for part of that debt. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. My wife is the product of the state of New Jersey higher education system. She's a proud graduate of Glassboro University, which is now Rowan University. And when she went to college, her tuition for a year was $375. Yes, $375. A couple of years ago, we had a young man working with Sharon and I who went to that same university, was paying about $14,000 a year. Now, even if you want to say, well, okay, $375, all those years ago, things went up 10 times. Well, that's only still less than $4,000. But Mateo, our friend, was paying over $14,000. Also, doctor, many years ago, I heard a statistic that many years before that at Rutgers University, which is another state university, the ratio of student to employee at the college was 14-1. In other words, for every 14 students, there was one employee. Right. When I heard this statistic, it was down to 3-1. In other words, for every 3 students, there was now one employee. I say that colleges themselves are largely responsible for this massive student debt, for the cost of an education, for teaching kids things that they can't use in the outside world, and for too many teachers, too many professors, too much college administration, too much help around the college cutting the grass and pruning the trees.
I'll tell you, Rick,
Dr. Michael Busler, tell me I'm off the wall.
You know, I can't. I agree with you completely. My first term in college cost me $1,200. The entire year was $1,200. And you're right. College administrations have bloated. They now have a specialist that does virtually everything. Part of the reason for that, or at least some of it, is colleges are now very aggressively going after students. So they have people that they bring in to actively recruit students. The pool is getting a little smaller, so colleges are getting more aggressive. Also, colleges felt that they had to provide a lot more services to students, counseling services, different clubs, different activities. They wanted nicer dorm rooms. So everything has been upgraded. They would argue you get a much more well-rounded college experience, and that may be true, but it is so expensive now that it's causing all of these problems. Colleges, too, are not concerned about doing things efficiently and at the lowest cost.
You know what the problem with education is? It's obvious to me. The problem with education is there are not more Dr. Michael Buslers out there teaching. Dr. Michael Busler, we've got to run. We're up against a hard break, but please tell our audience how they could follow your work and the things that you write.
Surely. So my Twitter account is @mbusler. That's @mbusler. I also have a Facebook page called Funding Democracy. So if you're on your Facebook, just search Funding Democracy. Every one of my columns in both of those spots.
Dr. Michael Busler, I always enjoy having you on the show because I'm thinking at least there's one voice of reason out there in the college world. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you too, Sharon.
On the other side, we're going to be speaking with Chris Chmeilenski. He's the Deputy Director at Numbers USA. Congress wants to spend more money. The emergency supplemental appropriations for humanitarian assistance and security at the southern border. Doctor, maybe you'll want to listen to this interview too. Don't go away.
$4.5 billion.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we appreciate you staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. Always love to give shout outs to the folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Sharon's hometown, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and also to the folks who are watching us on the AUN television network, places like San Francisco, San Jose, Sacramento, Marin County, and places in Northern California. And Sharron, our next guest is with us. The honor of the introduction is yours.
It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce Chris Chmeilenski, who serves as the Deputy Director of Numbers USA, the nation's largest grassroots immigration reduction organization with more than 8 million participants in all 435 congressional districts. Numbers USA provides a civil forum for Americans of all political and ethnic backgrounds to focus on a single issue, the numerical level of U.S. immigration. Chris joined Numbers USA in October of 2008 and now serves as their deputy director. He previously worked as an educator and journalist and has a bachelor's degree in political science and broadcast journalism from Syracuse University. Chris, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, thanks for having me. That was the long bio.
Well, it's yours.
A long version, yeah.
Yeah, well, we always like to let our audience know that the guests that we have credibility in the area that we've asked them to come speak. And your credentials speak of that credibility, and especially in this area that we're talking about now, because the Senate, they're supposed to be on our side, I thought. Now they have an Appropriations Committee bill that's come out, the Emergency Supplemental Appropriations for Humanitarian Assistance and Security on the Southern Borders Act. And Numbers USA has said this bill is a failure. It's a non-beneficial to the current immigration crisis. Talk to us about why this is like a do-nothing bill. In fact, maybe it's worse than a do-nothing. Maybe it actually sets us back.
Yeah, and in fact, the Senate passed that bill today on the Senate floor. So they're sending it over to the House to see what the House is going to do with it. There are a number of things that we don't like about the bill, but first and foremost, anything that addresses the border crisis needs to actually deal with the causes of the border crisis. Why do we have more than 100,000 folks crossing the border illegally every single month? And the reason why is because they're taking advantage of a number of loopholes that exist within our immigration system. And the Senate bill fails to address any of those. Now, some can argue, well, it shouldn't address those because this is a spending bill. It's just to provide additional funding. Okay, that's we can understand that we need policy fixes in order to close up those loopholes. But the appropriations bill lacks detention space, and we know that that's a big deal that's leading to more illegal aliens crossing the border illegally. And the reason why is because they know they're going to get caught and then released into the interior of the United States if we don't have any detention space to hold them. That's something that President Trump asked Congress for in his supplemental spending request. He asked for additional funding for detention beds. They don't provide that. In fact, there is very little enforcement money at all in the Senate bill. The only thing that's in there is alternatives to detention. And what we've learned from Border Patrol officers and ICE agents that have testified before Congress, alternative to detention don't deter illegal border crossings, and they're really ineffective in the long run. So that it's the whole thing, while it does spend a lot of money and it does provide funding, what makes it separate from the House version that was passed yesterday, it does provide funding to pay Border Patrol and ICE overtime, for example, for all the extra hours that they're putting in to deal with the crisis. It's just simply throwing taxpayer money at this crisis without solving it at all, which means the crisis is just going to continue. And American taxpayers are going to need to pay more money to deal with the crisis.
So you're talking about other things other than just the surge across the border. You're talking about things like human trafficking, things that can happen to these children if they are just catch and release.
Yeah, and let's be clear about one thing. The nasty drug cartels down in Mexico control every inch of the U.S. Southern border with Mexico. They control every single inch on the Mexican side. Nobody gets across that border unauthorized without the drug cartels knowing about it. So in order for that to happen, you have to pay off the drug cartels. The human smugglers have to smuggle people in, and they have to do so by paying off the drug cartels. And really, because the Senate bill and the House bill, for that matter, doesn't address, again, the root causes of the surge, they're basically ensuring that the drug cartels are going to continue to rake in millions and millions of dollars, helping the human traffickers traffic children and family units and others across our border illegally. So it's a huge issue, and I think people understand that the drug cartels are very active along the U.S.-Mexican border, but I don't think they realize that, again, not one person crosses that border unauthorized without the cartels knowing about it.
So they do have a border patrol on their side. It's just not the good guys, right?
It's not the good guys, right? It's the bad guys.
It's the bad guys. I thought it was interesting, a use of a word, recycling children. Talk to us a little bit about recycling children, because we're hearing these stories now that people are actually renting their children. That gets pretty close to selling your child to complete a family unit so that you can get across the border. But this recycling really caught my eye. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty despicable when you think about it. What we actually have is we have these folks coming up from Central America. They're being coached. They're being told exactly what to do. In fact, when they reach the border of their own countries, and they say that they want to come up to the United States, and they're working with the human smugglers. So human smugglers tell them, hey, it's going to cost you like $10,000 for us to get you across the border illegally. But if you have a kid with you, we'll only charge you $5,000. There's actually a discount because it's easier to get people across the border illegally with children, because if they it's okay if they get detected by Border Patrol, because Border Patrol is going to release them. But if they're not coming across with children, then they have to try to evade the Border Patrol officers patrolling the border. So it's a little bit more difficult for the smugglers to get them across. So what we're hearing is and what we're seeing from the Border Patrol officers themselves is they're seeing children coming across with multiple adults. The same children coming across with multiple adults on multiple occasions. They're just, as you said, they're recycling the children. You laugh, but it's definitely not a laughing matter, the way that what these children are victim to down there. But again, these children, they don't have family members, or their family members are just, as you say, renting them to friends or acquaintances or extended relatives to help them get into the United States, and then they sneak the kids back out, pair them up with another family member or another acquaintance or another family member to get them across the border illegally.
Well, this bill also, and I understand that the House bill as well, wants to put the money with Health and Human Services for the children. But as you point out, that this actually makes HHS complicit in cartel smuggling operations. Talk about that.
Yeah, it really does. And let's be clear, it's not really the fault of HHS. It's Congress that's forcing them to be complicit in the smuggling of children and family units across the border illegally. HHS is required under law to take custody of any unaccompanied minor who comes across the border illegally within 20 days. And they're also tasked with dealing with the family units, and we're seeing a record number of family units streaming across the border. In fact, we've had more family units cross the border in fiscal year 2019 than we have in any other year on record. And we're about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year that ends on September 30th. So a crazy amount of family units coming across. We're seeing, again, a record high in unaccompanied minors came across last month, the last month that numbers came out back in May. And again, Health and Human Services, now they need the money because, again, they're required under law to handle this situation. But because none of these bills address the reasons why these children are coming across the border, basically Congress is forcing, as you say, Health and Human Services to be complicit in the smuggling of these kids. And the funding just, again, forces them to do so. So again, you don't want to blame Health and Human Services because they're just doing what Congress has told them they have to do and what the past presidents have signed into law. We really need fixes. We need some of these laws, some of these loopholes closed by Congress. There's some things that the president can do administratively. But again, the Trump administration did ask for funding for HHS. HHS is out of money because they've spent everything that they've been appropriated for the fiscal year dealing with this crisis. So they did need more money. But Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Border Patrol also needed more money, and they were deprived of that money through these spending bills.
Well, we have to go to a break, but I just wanted to say, as a legislator, we were always getting beat over the head with bills coming from the other side. It's for the children. It's for the children. Well, it looks like nobody's looking out for the children in this real crisis that we're faced with. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with my co-host, Rick Trader. I'm Sharon Engel, and our guest, Chris Chmeilenski, who's the Deputy Director at Numbers USA, talking about what the real problems are with this new legislation.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharon Engel. And for rebroadcast of our shows, check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You'll find our radio show there, our TV show, a lot of terrific articles, and a lot of great information. Our guest this segment is Chris Chmeilenski. He's the Numbers USA Deputy Director. Chris, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time, and we also appreciate what you at Numbers USA do. You know, Chris, every time we have you guys on there, it seems like we have to update our figures on Numbers USA. We have you guys down as 8 million participants. Where are you at now?
Yeah, we're at 8, approaching 9. Every once in a while, we pop over 9 million. We obviously have turnover of membership, just like every membership organization has. But we're pretty big. We're pretty big, and that's part of the reason why our activists have so much of an impact in Washington.
And excuse me, French, you're pretty damn important, if you ask me.
Thanks
and we're
for that.
We're discussing this emergency supplemental appropriations for humanitarian assistance and security at the Southern Borders Act. Wow, that's a mouthful. It's amazing. It's amazing, Chris. And I want to go over this list of what's not in this bill. Okay, funds at mass. Forcing taxpayers to fund the mass violation of our immigration laws. Without policy changes, Congress is actually encouraging drug trafficking, human trafficking, sexual assault on women and girls, the recycling of children. You and Sharon talked about that. The bill fails to provide ICE with a single detention bed, instead wasting money on alternatives to detention, providing funding for ICE pay without providing funding for detention beds mean that Congress is paying ICE officers to catch and release. The bill fails to provide Border Patrol with the resources it needs to process the overwhelming number of illegal aliens crossing the southern border. Border Patrol has no choice but to cut corners, putting public safety at risk. Chris, a lot of Americans voted for Donald Trump because he said he was going to build the wall. There would be no more catch and release, that he would put the troops on the border. Why aren't these people just being rounded up and taken back to Mexico?
Well, Congress isn't giving them the funding. That's part of the problem. But again, as I alluded to earlier, there are a few things that the Trump administration can do that they haven't changed. One thing is dealing with this Flores settlement agreement. That's actually not something that's etched in law. That was more of an agreement between the Clinton administration and a court. But because it's never been put into a federal regulation, that stands as kind of the normal standard operating procedures. And there is talk the administration is moving forward with a rewrite of the Flores settlement agreement, which will change the way that we're able to detain minors, whether they come over unaccompanied or whether they come over in family units. That will help things. But as we know, Donald Trump campaigned tough on immigration, but he needs help. he needs help from Congress. He needs money from Congress. As we know, they've denied him wall funding. They've denied him border security funding. These two supplemental bills, the one passed in the Senate and the House version, are great examples of them, just denying the administration the funds that they need to actually enforce our immigration laws on the books. And without those funds, now we can blame House Democrats because of the bill that they passed in the House of Representatives last night. But again, the Senate bill isn't much better. It's only marginally better, but it won't go. It doesn't address the problem. It just throws money at the problem. And Republicans controlled both the House and the Senate for 2 years during Trump's first 2 years in office, and they didn't do anything. They didn't pass any funding for the border wall or anything. So, there's only so much that Trump can do himself. He can do more. The administration can do more, but they really need help from Congress, and they're not getting that help.
Chris Chmeilenski, executive or deputy director of Numbers USA. Chris, it galls me that the Republican Senate passed this and sending it to the House. They want this thing passed. They want the House to pass this thing because it doesn't have it doesn't have any money for the border wall. It doesn't have any money for these other things that you guys put in press release. So they are, in my opinion, they're begging the House of Representatives to pass this thing. Is the president going to sign it?
I think the Senate version the president will sign because, again, it has just about everything that the president asked for, with the exception of the funding for detention beds. Although we know that detention beds are a huge deterrent to illegal border crossings. We saw it under Obama. When Obama got a border supplemental spending bill during the 2014 surge, he got more detention beds, and immediately the numbers started to go down. As much as people hate to admit it, detention works. Making sure that people are detained when they cross the border illegally and not simply released so they can just disappear, it works. It deters illegal border crossings.
Okay, now, Chris and Sharron, I don't know what it costs or how much it costs to put somebody on a bus, put somebody on a truck, put somebody on an airplane and send them back. I know it's going to be a lot less than the $8,000 a year for an illegal immigrant. It's going to cost taxpayers. I mean, you can buy the Concorde was still around. You could buy a trip on the Concorde to France for less than $8,000. But, Chris, there's another huge price that the American people are paying for this. And Sharron and I were talking about this in the beginning of the show. A week doesn't go by, nearly a day doesn't go by that we don't hear about some horrific crime being perpetrated by an illegal. A man from Texas, an illegal from Texas, was charged with the murder of an 80-year-old woman who was killed in May. And now this same illegal immigrant has been charged with 11 other murders. He should have been in this country. Last week, we heard about an illegal alien who drove his truck into a line of motorcycles, killing 7 or 8 people. The week before that, we heard of a 14-year-old girl in Maryland who was raped and killed by 2 members of MS-13 who had been arrested for other crimes. I mean, Chris, this is a horrific cost we're paying for these people. And it galls me that the people that we elect, who are supposed to have our backs, who are supposed to be there to protect us, are not doing enough.
Yeah, and that's why
I'm wrong, Chris.
You're not, and that's why the way that this border crisis is being characterized as a humanitarian crisis, it's not telling the full story. The full story is that it's a national security crisis. It's a public safety crisis because, again, we know that the drug cartels control every single inch of that border. So when they're smuggling people in that are getting apprehended by Border Patrol, they're taking man resources. Border Patrol agents are having to respond to those illegal border crossings that opens up other borders, other areas of the border where they can smuggle in drugs, they can smuggle in gang members, they can smuggle in possibly terrorists, hopefully not. So we know that that's what happens during a border search. Border Patrol officers, they just get so overwhelmed.
And the Democrats see this as an advantage for them to take control of our country, our government, for generations to come. In New Jersey, it is illegal, and please understand where I'm coming from. In New Jersey, it is illegal to land an airplane on a body of water. Do you know why? 99 years ago, a plane landed on a lake and killed a senator's daughter. Horrible, right? I'm not wishing this on anything. This isn't going to stop until it happens to somebody, Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Cory Booker Love. I hate to say that, Chris, but that's the only thing that's going to stop it.
Yeah,
when they find out they cannot benefit from their actions, and they find out their actions are going to hurt someone who they love, just like these 12 people in Texas, just like the 8 people in New Hampshire, just like the parents of this 14-year-old girl in Maryland. That's the only thing, Chris.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's, and even if that
I'm not
happens,
wishing it on
I
that.
don't know if it's going to change minds. I still am skeptical as to whether or not it'll change minds, because these stories have been publicized, and yet we're still not. We think of the relationship that Trump had on the campaign trail with some of these with the surviving family members of victims of illegal alien crimes, and still there again. A lot of this falls on Congress's shoulders. They need to provide the funding, but there are some things that the administration can do that they're not quite doing to stop this border surge. So, if one of these folks that comes across and gets released into the interior of the United States, kills an American citizen or something, the administration is going to be just as liable as Congress is, and as the Democrats are, and everybody else.
Chris Chmeilenski, Numbers USA. We want to thank you, Chris, as I said, not just for coming on our show, but for what you guys do. Please tell our audience where they could find out more about Numbers USA and get involved.
Sure, they can visit us at numbersusa.com or come visit us on Facebook, facebook.com/numbersusa. If they come to our website and they're not already on our mailing list, they can click the green Join Us button on the top left, get on our email list, start taking action, and we provide resources so you can reach out to your members of Congress and tell them how you feel.
All right. I say everybody out there, be a hero, be a patriot, get involved in this issue. Go to Numbers USA website. One more time, Chris, that website.
numbersusa.com.
Chris Chmeilenski, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you. You too.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. On the other side, we're going to be talking with Matt Philbin. He's with the Media Research Center, talking about Celebs Cry Impeach while reading the Nothing Burger manuscript on TV. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
Elkins goes to vote for merit.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Hartman, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today. The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect.
How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time. It's too late.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
And welcome back to Conservative Commandos. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. Please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. And by the way, Facebook has rectified a wrong. They got back to us and said, oh, by the way, you guys were banned, but it was an accident. You know, no harm, no foul, but we are back in the good graces of Facebook. And with that, Sharron Angle, please make our introduction of our next guest.
Well, it's a pleasure to introduce Matt Philbin, who is the managing editor of MRC Culture. That's Media Research Council Culture. Matt, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Matt. And we want to talk to you about an article you didn't write, but we know that you have an expertise here that we'd like to tap into. It says, Celebs Cry Impeach while reading Nothing Burger Mueller Report. So the Mueller Report is back in, of course, always. It's the basis for this impeachment, but George Plaza, who wrote this article, is calling the Mueller Report a nothing burger, which most of us look at it and say, really, it is. Where does the MRC stand on this? And talk to us a little bit about this.
Well, the MRC, I'm not sure we have, a position other than, the Mueller Report is what it is. And, you read into it. The Democrats are, of course, reading into it whatever they want to. But this whole thing has been a huge, I hate to say witch hunt, but that's really what it's been. The whole thing starts from the premise that the president is illegitimate, which he is not. It's fueled by the fact that they hate the president, and the fact that he hates them back, and he's not willing to sort of knuckle under to them, and he's not willing to play the game. This is compounded by the fact that the media he won't play the media game. He won't play with the Democrats, and he won't play with the media. And the media, hell hath no fury like the media scorned. And we've seen that. So when the Mueller report came out, the tears that they were crying, I believe Rachel Maddow on MSNBC actually cried when the Mueller report didn't say what she wanted it to. But they're not giving up because Mueller wrote it in such a way that they can keep projecting what they want to onto it. Mueller says that they found no evidence of collusion. That's what the report says. That's what he was tasked to find out. What he didn't do was come out and say, well, everything was great, and everything the president's campaign did was above board, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That would have shut them down, or at least it probably wouldn't. They are absolutely, they are on the scent like, dogs on meat. So that wouldn't have probably done it, but it would have made it more difficult for them to grandstand the way they have been since the report came out.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of the grandstanding, but you had one more point to make before I go into the grandstanders themselves. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say that, and this is an effort across the entire left. The only person putting the brakes on it is the only person not on board right now is Nancy Pelosi, and she's playing her own game, her own political game, and she's being rather smart about it seems. But this is essentially the Democrat media entertainment complex gearing up. They have geared up, and they have executed this massive campaign to try to delegitimize the president of the United States. And I'm not calling it a coup. I think that's overstated. It's overblown. But this is clearly something that they deeply want to do, and it's something they're not going to let go of soon.
Well, now I'll get to the grandstanders here. I thought this was telling in this article that we read. It says, since so many members of Congress haven't read the Mueller report, so that was telling in itself that they haven't even bothered to read the 448 pages of the Mueller report. The second thing is that they've decided, since Congress hasn't read it, or maybe they are thinking that congressmen don't know how to read. I'm not sure how to take this. They've decided to make a play out of the Mueller report, reading the Mueller report and hoping, I guess, that Congress will hear their rendition and take some action to impeach. It's a star-studded cast of these folks that are standing up to be on this video cast of reading the Mueller report. Minnie Driver, Deborah Messing, Anika Noni Rose, Alicia Reiner, Kirk Azevedo, let's see, who else? John Lithgow. I mean, it's just like this cast of who's who: Robert De Niro, George Takei, Stephen King. They're all doing this dramatic reading of this Mueller report, hoping that somebody's listening. I guess that's the point. Or maybe it's because their constituency now, they've really recognized the failure in our education system. What does this mean? I'm I'm amazed that so many people would put so much effort into reading this Mueller report when, as you've told us, there's nothing there.
Well, there's a couple of things in play here. One, it's the Democrats who claim that, Congress hasn't read it.
Yeah.
But, the dirty little secret is that nobody in Congress reads 400-page bills. Certainly no member of Congress, maybe staff members do. But it's the fact. Remember, Nancy Pelosi was the one that said you had to read the Obamacare bill to learn what was in it. And then nobody ever read it. So there's that. But what they're doing, this is actually something that's been pioneered on the right, this idea of what it's called is verbatim theater. And the idea was pioneered by, I don't think maybe it didn't start with him, but he's done a great job with it, a guy called Phelim McAleer. And what he has done is in a couple of instances, and one of them he just did was very successful. It was called FBI Lovebirds. And it was the Peter Strzok and
Lisa Page. Lisa Page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a dramatic reading of their texts between the two of them, which is very funny and very, frankly, very damning of them. He has done another thing where what he did was he had people read the transcript of the trial of the officer in the Missouri shooting case, the Michael, why does the name escape me now? But the case that started the Black Lives Matter movement.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a very effective thing to do. It's very what it does is it sort of takes out the middleman. And this is all really sort of something that we're seeing in the Trump era, where Trump takes to Twitter and takes out the middleman. In this case, they are taking, words and just reading them. And because they're celebrities, people are going to pay attention. And it's unfiltered. It's unfiltered by anybody who disagrees. So it's a very effective way of presenting one side of the case.
Well, now you've just opened another whole door of copying. I guess, if they don't have an original idea over there, no matter, they can't read. We need to go to a break here. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our co-host, Rick Trader. I'm Sharon Engel, and our guest, Matt Philbin of MRC Culture, talking about the Mueller Report.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002. Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharon Engel. And want to give a shout out to the folks who watch us as part of AUN TV in California, places like San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Marin County, wine country up there in Northern California. Our guest is Matt Philbin. He's the managing editor of MRC Culture. Matt, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure.
Well, Matt, we're talking about this A-list of celebrities, and they put on this dramatization, I'll call it, of the Mueller report. Dramatization, auditions. Who do you think watches this thing, Matt? I mean, what kind of viewership did they get off of this?
Well, I'm pretty sure the people that watch it already believe that there was collusion. They are doing this for liberals. They're doing this for the hard left, the people who, like them, hate Trump and feel that, he's an illegitimate president. Mm-hmm. They're not out to change minds. They are out to sort of reinforce, basically, to keep the narrative alive long enough, basically till the election is what I think. But certainly until now, we see that Mueller's going to testify. I think it was in July. Certainly they can keep it going till then. This is the gift that keeps on giving for them. God knows that CNN and MSNBC, this keeps their programming on the air. This is why they exist. They don't really do other news anymore, it seems like. Mm-hmm. So it's and they are obsessed with this. And
it's a mental disease is what it is. It's an obsession. It's a mental disease. Hey, Matt, you know what it reminded me of? Remember, there was a couple instances when they would get these A-list singers and entertainers, and they did songs like We Are the World. Remember that one? And then there was a Christmas song where all these singers and entertainers got together. They did a Christmas song, and I just can't think of it right now. But it seems like
do
to
they
me,
know it's Christmas?
Yeah, there you go. Well, It seems to me these people have to have their egos fed that, yes, I'm relevant. Yes, I'm out there. Yes, I'm important. So yes, I'm going to participate in this, because you got some interesting characters. Like Robert De Niro, George Takei, Stephen King participated in this. Bunch of others, and it's like, wow, if I don't do this, I'm not important anymore. It's like you're not important if you're not invited to the party, so I got to get invited to this party. How relevant are these people from Hollywood?
Right. You're exactly right. Listen, if you have the soapbox, you're expected to use it. One of the fascinating cases was Taylor Swift, who until recently was just a country and pop singer with a huge following, and she was, kind of young, and she wasn't particularly political, didn't feel that she needed to be. And when she did not come down one way or the other on the 2016 election, the pressure from the left was huge. There was pressure from inside Hollywood. There was pressure from, inside the sort of celebrity muckraking complex. There was pressure from mainstream media that she had to come out and she had to come down on the correct side of every issue. She held out for a while, but in the last couple of years, she has come out as a sort of down-the-line, garden variety leftist, without an original thought in her head. And she's alienating some people by doing that. And the interesting thing is, she just did a song and a video about essentially about gay marriage, about celebrating gay marriage, and she's upset the left because it was somehow not good enough. It was not, I don't know exactly what their beef is with it, but this is the kind of thing you can never, once you go down that road, you can never do enough. And that's why you see people like Robert De Niro, who used to be considered, who is a great actor, but used to be considered a serious actor. But now you have him, and he's cursing up a storm on every awards show that will give him a platform. He's talking like a street thug about the president. And, here's Robert De Niro again. He's gonna say terrible things about the president. Click, and everybody turns it off. So it's,
I wanted to. You just triggered a thought. You say people turn it off. Well, how influential are these? How relevant are these A-listers that do this type of thing? And are they influential? Do people pay attention to them anymore? Do people change their minds and opinions on what these idiots say and do?
Non-political people can be formed by this. They can be casually formed.
That's why there should be that's why there should be a test to vote.
That's exactly right. But if you're non-political and you're bombarded by entertainment media giving you one political message or one cultural or social message all the time, you're going to sort of naturally just start parroting it. I remember before I was, intelligent at all, when I was a teenager. You
mean in those days you thought you knew everything and couldn't understand what else you could possibly learn in the rest of your life? That age?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I remember say, I'm old enough that Reagan was. I always liked Reagan, but I remember how hated Reagan was, and he was hated by all the right people on the left. All the people,
that's why he won. That's why he won his re-election, winning 49 states, because he was so hated. Hey, Matt Philbin, Media Research Center, what are you working on now?
Well, more of the same. And tonight we have the Democratic debates coming up. So I will probably be monitoring statements from, dopey statements.
I think you're going to be alone at that party, Matt. Do you really think people are paying attention a year and a half before the election to 25 people who want the Democrat nomination? I think you're going to be alone at that party, Matt. Am I wrong?
Well, I think the same people
care about this
that we're talking about, the same people we're talking about will care about this. And the more stupid things they say, well, the more I'll have to write about.
We feel the same thing about AOC. We love her here. The more things she says, the more interesting our jobs become. Matt Philbin, managing editor of MRC Culture. Matt, please tell our audience how they could follow your work, what you do, and find out more about the Media Research Center.
If you go to newsbusters.org, you will find everything you really need to know about the Media Research Center. That's our blog. It covers all kinds of bias in media from CNN and the New York Times to celebrity silliness and entertainment TV. It's kind of a one-stop shop for left-wing bias.
Hey, Matt, you guys at the Media Research Center do a great job. I mean, some of the polls and statistics that you guys come out with. I always say for people who love TV, you ought to get a job at the Media Research Center. I mean, I imagine you guys watch, for somebody who loves to watch TV, you'd have a job for them, right?
Oh, it's true. I mean, if you're on the right and you can stand that much, consuming that much media, we've got a job for you.
All right. Matt Philbin, we want to thank you so much for joining us. One more time, give out your website.
It's newsbusters.org.
Newsbusters.org. Hey, Matt, thank you for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. Sharron Angle's my co-host. Don't go away. Sharron and I will be back with more right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Oh, Sharon Angle, I hate to say this, but that just about is it for us. We're out of time.
That's right. It goes fast, doesn't it? Especially when we have such great guests like we've had today. Michael Busler, of course, who is from Stockton University, talking to us about Sanders and free college for all. Good to get it from an expert. And speaking of experts, we had Chris Chmeilenski, who talked to us expertly about these new bills that are going through Congress, calling them humanitarian bills, but really they're not doing anything for the children. And then finally, we had Matt Philbin on, who's the managing editor for MRC Culture, talking about the celebrities and what drives them to do such crazy things for the left.
And Sharon, I get kind of excited when we talk about these topics of liberalism and socialism and free college for all and guaranteed minimum wage and immigration and all that. I get excited, but thank God you're there to
pull you off the ceiling.
Be my rock. But for right now, we got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
I'm Jeff Crouere. Thanks for watching the Jeff Crouere YouTube channel. There is one major problem in our country today. It's worse than the crime problem, it's worse than the education problem, the healthcare problem, and that is what is going on at our border. We are being invaded. The numbers are staggering. In May, there were more than 144,000 apprehensions, a brand new record. This year, we're on track to have over 1 million apprehensions at the border, a new record. And that's 1 million that are being apprehended. We have no idea how many are getting through. We are being inundated with people from Central America and Mexico, and guess what? From all over the world. In recent months, there have been Africans that have been apprehended, people from the Middle East. So everyone knows that our border is wide open, and everyone knows that the Democrats won't do anything about it. President Trump has been trying from day one to do something about a border wall. Democrats won't allocate the money. So he took the money from the defense budget and other places to try to get the border wall built. And of course, lawsuits ensued. There's been a private group that has tried to do something about the border wall. They've raised money. They've been able to build part of a wall down in New Mexico. And they met the mayor of Sunland Park, New Mexico, who said no, a cease and desist order. So you had a private group running into opposition, of course, what the president is trying to do, running into opposition. The Democrats do not want the border secure. They see these folks coming in here as potential voters. They see the chaos that's ensuing as good for them because their solution to all these problems is more government. So going forward, we need to support the president as he tries to secure this border. Support the president as he tries to get a border wall built. Support the president as he's trying to increase the number of judges, increase the number of Border Patrol agents, increase the options that we have to deal with this ongoing emergency. It's a shame that Republicans in Congress aren't doing more. It's a shame that they're not backing him in every option that he has at his disposal, including tariffs. The idea to put tariffs on Mexican goods was a great idea. One way to bring Mexico to the table, because what is Mexico doing right now? Nothing. All of these people are flowing through Mexico to the border into the United States. Unfortunately, Republican senators have been opposing the idea to put tariffs on Mexican imports. This is a president looking at all of his options. We need to support him because this is a number one emergency that we're facing as a country. And if this president can't get it solved, it is not going to get solved. And that means very bad news for the United States of America. I'm Jeff Crouere. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the Jeff Crouere YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next video all about the Democrats and their obsession with impeachment and bringing down Donald Trump.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Barring a recovery in tonight's debate, Biden has dropped down in the polling over the last month and a half. Look at the numbers. They're pretty impressive. On May 16th, he had 39%. On June 1st, he had 35%. June 7th, 34%. June 13th, 32%. Now 31.9%, all in the Real Clear Politics average. He's lost about a quarter of his vote in 5 or 6 weeks. And the flap he's in the middle of now about his incivility, which a few days ago in my lunch alert I pointed out is his civility is over the issue of busing, when he was very polite and very civil to the segregationists in the Senate because he was promoting an anti-busing amendment. That flap, his reversal over the death penalty, his misstatement and flip-flop over the Hyde Amendment, all of that stuff is underscoring that this guy is too old, too scattered, not at the peak of his game, and should not be president. But he's occupied a very big space in the Democratic primary. So the issue is, after Biden, what comes next? Now, at the moment, it looks like a fight between Sanders and Warren, as I explained in my election alert video yesterday. And at the moment, Warren is definitely winning that fight and might be poised to take second place. Can't count out Harris, who has really yet to launch her campaign. I can't think of a unique selling proposition that Harris is pushing, and she needs to. I think that Buttigieg could come on stronger. His charisma seems to have faded a touch, and he's mired in this racial dispute over police brutality in South Bend, Indiana. It's something when your whole job is to be the mayor of a city of a couple 100,000 people, and you're immersed in a police brutality scandal there, but so be it. But there is room in this field for somebody else. There's room for new candidates. I don't mean 24th, 25th, 26th candidate. 23 is quite enough. But there's room for breakout here. And if you look at the debates coming up tonight and tomorrow night, look not just at Biden and Sanders and Buttigieg and Harris and Warren. Look at the rest of because there's a real chance of one of them breaking out and becoming a frontier contender. I'm reminded of the situation in 2008 in the Republican primary, where you had McCain locked against Romney in a fierce fight for the nomination. And then, and everybody else was at 1%. Then the debate happened, and Mike Huckabee gave an incredible performance. Witty, humorous, personable, friendly, insightful, compelling, and he vaulted into contention. Eventually knocked McCain out of the race for a while and went head-to-head against Romney. And wasn't until after Romney beat him in the northern industrial states that McCain came back into the race and then eventually emerged as the nominee. But there's running room here. And some other candidate, I'm not sure who they are, there are a bunch of them, but some other candidate could really strike gold in these debates by saying stuff that's different, compelling, original, specific, relevant. Stay tuned. We'll talk tomorrow in the election alert, and we'll assess the impact of Wednesday's debate.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
The NBA appears to be the latest organization to throw common sense out the window in favor of political correctness. President Trump's deportation raids are on hold while the House debates emergency funding for the border crisis. Meanwhile, did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez break the law when she tried to warn people about the raids? We'll look at that, plus a whole lot more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. We've got a lot to cover today, but first we want to hear from our friends over at Bottle Breacher. On Father's Day, just a little bit ago, I got these awesome whiskey coolers. They've got my name engraved on them. They are awesome, and that's just one of many gifts that you'll find at Bottle Breacher. Please check them out. Just go to bottlebreacher.com. Use coupon code Bobby13-A1 for 20% off your next Made in America purchase of awesome items. Just check it out. That's bottlebreacher.com, coupon code Bobby13-A1. All right, folks, first we want to talk about political correctness and how it's now made its way into the NBA. But first, there's just so many words that the left over the years have deemed offensive. You know, they started out fine, but someone on the left said that's offensive and they changed it. No one else was offended by it. And I want to go over a couple. I mean, first of all, and maybe I'll get struck by lightning for saying this, but I want to talk about the word retarded, okay? If you slow down, if you slow your speed, say in a race car, you retard your speed. If your learning is slower than others, your learning is retarded based on a normal rate. If your physical development is slower than it should be, your physical development is retarded based on someone else. So that term, if you were talking about a mentally retarded person or a physically retarded growth, it made perfect sense. There was nothing demeaning or insulting about it at all. Sure, people could use it in an insulting way, but guess what? If you say physically challenged, I guarantee someone could use that in a mocking way. It didn't start out that way, but pretty soon the current words are going to be changed because the left deems it unacceptable. Here's another phrase, American Indian. Now, I guess I'm allowed to say that because I'm like 1,000 times more American Indian than Elizabeth Warren. But let's just take that for example, because again, the left deemed it offensive. Not American Indians, not Indian tribes, but the left, and they're the ones demanding change. So I went ahead and I did a little web search and just check this out. This is from the Cherokee Nation website, okay? They describe their 3, federally recognized tribes, the main ones, okay? And here's how they describe them. The Cherokee Nation, headquartered in Toluca, Oklahoma, is the largest of 3 with more than 320,000 tribal citizens. Its name does not include the words of Oklahoma, nor is it formally called the Western Band. Also headquartered in Toluca is the United Kitowa Band of Cherokee Indians. The third is the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians, headquartered in Cherokee, North Carolina. Okay, so they use the word themselves. So clearly they're not offended. Clearly their website, is up to date. And so who is the one who's offended? Who changed it to Native Americans? Oh my gosh, it just makes no sense. Well, now there's a new word on the streets, a new word you can't say, otherwise the left will come down on you. And that word is owner. You can't say it, whether you're a business owner, a team owner, it doesn't matter. That word is offensive. And it's now made its way into the NBA. Some team owners, I guess, they felt that their multi-million-dollar athletes were somehow oppressed or suffering from microaggressions. So they needed to change it. And Adam Silver, the current NBA commissioner, was interviewed just coming out of a meeting the other day. And here's what he said. This is from TMZ Sports. A reporter asked, "Do you like moving away from that term, owner?" And Adam Silver responded, "I do. I don't want to overreact to the term because, as I've said earlier, people end up twisting themselves into knots avoiding the use of the word owner. But we moved away from that term years ago in the league. We call our team owners the governor of the team and alternate governors." So it's governor instead of owner. And just like these other words in the past, I guarantee in a little while, governor will be taken the wrong way. Governor governs this person and governs over that person. Yet somehow they deem it better than owner. And yet none of these people have ever been owned by anyone in 100 and plus, 60 years or whatever. And it's just crazy. But yet, owner is bad. You can't say it. It's now in the NBA. It's governor. And here's more from Silver. Adam Silver added this during the TMZ interview. He said, "Players have gone both ways. I think a few players have spoken out saying that the greatest thing that ever happened was when Michael Jordan was able to call himself an owner. But of course, Draymond Green has been very public about the fact that we should be moving away from that term. And I completely respect that." All right, so some cared about the change, some didn't. But just like anything, it's that very vocal, small group that gets the attention, and it leads to politically correct nonsense like this. So folks, let's talk now about the crisis at the border, because it is big. It's getting worse. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are coming, and we don't have the facilities to take care of them. So right now, rather than do the raids that President Trump said he was going to start last Sunday, he challenged Congress, the Democrats, to come up with some changes, come up with some new legislation to help the process. And he asked for a ton of funding so we can get these detention centers better, so we can help on border security, a host of other issues that some Democrats are on board with and others were fighting. And I want to talk about this. There was an excellent column on the Washington Examiner by Byron York, who's talking about the people that just forever would say there's no crisis at the border. And he asks the basic question, well, what now? All right, we see there's a crisis. What now, all you people who've been saying that? And here's some from Byron York. Congress is debating emergency humanitarian aid to care for migrants on the U.S.-Mexico border. The need is obvious. With virtually no barrier to stop them, thousands of migrants are crossing illegally into the United States every day. More than 1 million will come this year. U.S. law prevents border officials from quickly returning them. See, there is no quick process. We're talking about vetting. We're talking about procedures. We're talking about hearings before people can be allowed in or sent back. That's the thing. Deportations, if they go through the process and the U.S. says, nope, you guys got to go back, whether it's an individual or a family, they're deported. It's nothing new. This is what's been going on for years and years and years, and yet the left is suddenly outraged because Donald Trump is doing it. And so then Byron York added this in his column. He says, Capitol Hill Democrats are reportedly torn about an emergency aid measure. On one hand, they want to care for migrants. On the other, they fear approving aid would empower President Trump to carry out a plan to deport illegal immigrants whose cases have received full legal due process and who have been ordered deported. Such deportations used to be relatively uncontroversial, but are now apparently unacceptable to some Democrats. And York then goes on and lists, all of these Democrats that have said there's no crisis at the border. And then he also lists a bunch of, so-called conservative never-Trumpers and establishment Republicans like Bill Kristol, who said the same thing, that there's no crisis on the border. And now we see that there is a crisis. We see that there is a lot of bad things going on, and yet the Democrats are opposed and opposed and opposed, which leads to a very interesting question. And the Media Research Center is asking this, in particular about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and that is, how much opposition is allowed before it becomes illegal? And here's their report. Let me get this straight. An American politician is advising non-American illegal aliens on how to avoid American laws. It's one thing for an activist or non-governmental worker advising people on how to subvert federal law, but when it's an elected official giving the advice, should it raise a red flag? And what this article is referring to is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez this past weekend when the raids were imminent, looking like they were going to be on Sunday. Here's what she tweeted on Saturday. She said, warning, the Trump administration is expected to begin ICE raids across the country tomorrow, targeting people for Roundup. Now is the time for us to come together. Check in with your neighbors. Share Know Your Rights info. If you see ICE, report them to United We Dream and the phone number. And so she just, again, she added more to that tweet, encouraging people to offer up their home to shelter and house people who are illegally, who have already been through the process. These are people ordered deported after due process. And here's what she writes. She says, please share this info widely and make sure your neighbors have it. If your home can be a safe space or a haven for others, let your neighbors and community know, even if it's just to relax in the stress of this time. Plan, prepare, protect your neighbors. All right, and so then the story points out possible legal violations, and that's the important part. And here's what they write. It said, such actions suggesting that actual harboring of illegal aliens could potentially violate U.S. Code Title 8, Aliens and Nationality, particularly Section 1324. That law lists punishments for people who knowingly or in reckless disregard of the law conceals, harbors, or shields from detection any alien who is in violation of U.S. law by residing in the country illegally. So that kind of sums it up right there. And it's what's going to be interesting, and what the article pointed out is, in a couple of weeks, if Trump does do these raids, what's she going to do when they're actually going down? Is she going to encourage people to break the law? Is she breaking the law herself? Clearly, she doesn't care. And finally, folks, I want to talk to you about polls, because there's been a lot of talk about polling right now, and it's absolutely positively worthless. Former White House Chief of Staff John Sununu was recently on Fox, and here's what he said about it.
Your Fox poll has to understand that it is polling the old way. And with all due respect to all the polls that are out there, they've got to reform their process. There are folks who deliberately don't answer their phones when they're called. There are folks who give wrong answers to the pollsters, and this is becoming more and more of a problem in the polling process.
So, and that's the thing. Polls are just, they're kind of out of date. They always oversample Democrats, and they're so skewed. You've seen it time and time again. And to put any weight on polls this far out is just absolutely ridiculous, especially when the media just jumps on board to promote all of these, Trump's losing to this candidate, Trump's losing to Bernie, he's losing to Biden, and on and on. So I want to leave you with this. I want to leave you with a poll, okay? This is from an article from Time Magazine, and it's an Associated Press GFK poll, and take a look at this, all right? The date, October 26, 2016, and the headline, Hillary Clinton leads Donald Trump by 14 points nationally in new poll. All right, that was less than 2 weeks before election, and they were talking about Hillary Clinton leading by 14 points, which shows you how screwy polls can be. Folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified of future episodes, and please tell your friends. We'll see you on Friday for the next show. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.